And today we welcome Alison Knowles, you are a finalist in the NLP Award, yay, in the education section. So I've read your the nominations and the various bits and pieces that have come with that, which are just inspiring. And it would be lovely, you know, would you tell us a bit more about Ollie and his superpowers?
In a nutshell, I was using various therapies, obviously NLP inclusive, to work with clients and with little ones. And I can't read and write. I'm dyslexic, so I have to simplify absolutely everything. And I was looking at all these waiting lists for people to see therapists through CBT and CAMH and what have you. And I trained with CBT so I could work with CAMH. And it was taking months and months and months to get anywhere with these kids and adults. We don't just work with kids, we work with the whole family. And I thought, why? And the reason it was taking so long was because we were working with the behaviour and not the emotion that was driving the behaviour. So basically, if you imagine my arm's a tree, okay, in autumn, obviously there's no leaves on it, autumn leaves. These are the branches, and these are all the behaviours we were getting presented by these kids. So anxiety, anger, attachment, all of it, right? And what I was watching was the therapist taking one branch off at a time. The problem with that is they were taking that branch off in connection to that specific event. So it wasn't even working back on the chain of what they weren't doing is working around the trunk to the emotion at the bottom that was driving it. Because I absolutely believe there are no bad kids. Absolutely not. They're doing the best they can with the information they've got. But if we're just dealing with the behaviour, we're not dealing with what's driving it, we're not helping them. But then I got told, but Ali, you know, oh, young one, I'm not that young anymore. You can't teach kids about emotions. They're too young. We've got to be about 8, 10. Absolute rubbish. So I decided that actually we could, but we needed to change what we were doing in education. I was very lucky a couple of head teachers sat up and took notice because they really do blooming care. I know they get a hard time, but they are front line with our kids. And it's a very simple one. Go with me. Can you point to your brain, please? Thank you. Can you point to your heart, please? You see, the kids can do this because we can do it, yeah? Can you draw a heart in the air? Oh, I didn't need you to do that. It's just a nice thing to do first thing. And the kids can do that too. And I can say, okay, very good. You know where your brain is, you know where your heart is. You can draw a heart because it's tangible, isn't it? Can you now point to where your emotions live? Yeah, that's the look I get from the kid. Can you draw me an emotion?
Not easily.
Exactly. And yet we're asking our children to take control of their emotions. What are they? Where are they? And we're telling them to have a little bit more self-worth and empathy and a soups on them, whatever. And they're like, okay, what? So what I did was I made all of our emotions little people that live inside us. And with the little guys, we call them superpowers because it's fun. But the model doesn't change, the language does. So if I was working with you, you're good fun, I'd probably still call them superpowers. But I call them whatever you want to call them. And what we did was we separated the emotion from the child, because I had children coming in and they were saying, I'm angry. Tell me something else about yourself. I'm angry. I'm autistic. They had these labels, and I know there's a time and a place. I don't want to start a riot. We need labels to, But it was like, tell me something else. And they couldn't tell me anything else about themselves, and they couldn't separate themselves from the issue. So all I did, and it was a real fluke, I just did it one day when a mum dropped this lad off with me and said, sort him out, he's angry like his dad, and shot off. Left me with him. Like, oh. I literally just reached in and I pulled angry out. He went, I'm not angry. So I pulled it out of his hand. And I turned my back on him slightly and started talking to my hand, not him. And I just said, oh my, you are angry, aren't you? Is he always this angry? Is it just because your mum brought you here today? This kid thought I was an absolute nut. I can tell you, okay, I can't mind read, but if I could have done, this kid would have been, okay, mum, I'm going to be good for it. Get me out of here. This one's a letter. But he'd been dragged in front of so many of us, you know? So I just kept talking to this part. Unfortunately, the little fellow turned up in football kit. Thank you. So I just asked stupid questions. So I said, are you making my friend angry because his mum makes him go to ballet? This lad was, no. Are you making him angry because he has to wear pink lycra? No. In 1 hour, which was the session, I asked 3 or 4 stupid questions. And in that time, I got this lad to say, he's angry because he doesn't want to be the big boy. That would have taken me months, just by separating it and annoying him. And I could have stopped there, because now I'm months and months ahead of the game.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I said, oh, right. What does he mean he doesn't want to be the big boy? I kept it about the part. And the lad explained he'd got a younger brother with additional needs who's quite poorly. That's why mum was stressed out, obviously. Yeah. And everybody that came to the house was focused in on this young fella. And once too often, my little man had gone, Mum. And mum had said, Peter, I need you to be the big boy. Oh. Now, all of us are like, well, that makes sense. Mum's stressed out. But what did he hear? He heard fundamentals to all of us. We all know this, yeah? I'm not loved. I'm not this. I'm not that. Yeah. So he wasn't even angry. He was sad and hurting. Yeah. But kids can't explain that. They don't know what an emotion is. So it's pure frustration. And that's what we see in children. That is pure frustration, that they don't know how to tell us what's going on. But just by separating it. I saw him a few weeks later. I spoke to mum and she was mortified and picked him up and hugged him. It all worked out lovely. I saw him a few weeks later in our very first school. Head teacher had heard what I was doing with children, how quickly we were building the rapport, getting to the root, giving the kids the tools so that they didn't need us. I'm basically out to put us all out of business, so that's probably just blown my chances of winning. But I don't care. It's the right thing to do. They're going to put us all out of business. Deal with it, chaps. Mental health problem all over the world. I'm killing it. And myself. I saw him in school a few weeks later, and he was over the back chatting to his friends. And I was chatting away to the head, telling her who I am and what we do. And I went, are you all right? And he went, yeah. But he looked a bit sad. So I said, sure you're all right? And he went, Grandma died. I was like, oh, here we go. I said, do we need to? And he went, no, I promise you, this is what he did. He just reached into his chest. He didn't even break his stride. He went, no, I pulled it out. Grandma's with Granddad now. She's happy. See you later. And off he went. Oh. And I thought, oh. So I helped him with anger, and he's taken that learning without any coaching from me, and he's using it for every emotion that gets too big. Yeah. It started. I'm based in Cambridge. I had people coming in from all over the country. And then we had what do we do about this? We had schools contacting us. We weren't in there for months and months and months. We weren't putting therapists into schools every day. We put a therapist in, and we'll work with the child, give or take 6 or 7 sessions. That is it. Not all year. We're not glorified babysitters, which is personal opinion, what was happening. And we're turning these kids round. But the reason that we're doing it is, one, because of the model and it's so simple, but also because we work with the whole family. There are no bad kids. Yeah. I don't think there's bad, well, maybe, but by and large, there's not bad parents doing the best they can with the info they've got. Yeah. But the kids are reacting to their environment. Yeah. So if you want to change something in a child, you can do it in the therapy room. But the moment they go back into the classroom or else, it's out the window again. So we had to work with mum and dad to sort their stuff out gently without making it. We don't do that. We call ourselves coaches, not therapists, for that reason. We're playful, we're fun. But then that was 2 corners of the triangle. The other was the school. And the schools have been amazing. So we train teachers not to be full therapists, but to use enough of the language so that everybody in the school is talking about parts and superpowers. So we don't send kids out of the classroom now. We pull that part out and ask what's going on, and we work together to come up with a solution. And it's gone mad. We're all over the UK now. We're all over Ireland. We're going to Uganda next year to work with foster and adoption, and in some schools out there. We work with special needs, special educational needs. We do an awful lot. Just finished finished the first part of a contract with an organisation called May Murray in Northern Ireland. Right. Kids with severe mental and physical disabilities, and building up their self-worth, getting them all back into school, and they've just renewed our contract there. So it's just gone mad, and you have to keep pinching yourself, or I do, because all I've done is make something simple. Yeah, that's just beautiful. I'm sorry that having my children are now grown up and beyond school age. One's still at university and the other one's way older than that. And they both struggled in school and with those sorts of things and
you know, having certain, one of them has additional needs, and I experienced what you're talking about with the teachers and the behaviour becoming the child.
Completely. But you know what gets me is everybody says, well, yes, but how do you change the model? You know, if my child has additional needs or learning difficulties or sensory processing or non-verbal.
Yeah.
I don't, because I train all of our coaches, and the first thing I say to them when they join us, and by the way, our coaches aren't therapists, they're mums and dads, teachers, police officers, because my background was blowing buildings up, so if I can do it, it really was. That is good stress relief, that one. And my approach is, every time you meet a new client, a child or an adult, and I don't look at their labels. No. Have a box outside your room, put your labels in there, you can have them back later if you need them.
Yeah.
And my take is, you don't know anything about it. They're from another country, they speak another language, got different beliefs, different customs. Learn how they communicate.
Yeah.
So even with non-verbal, we can communicate with all the teachings that we've got as NLP guys, you know.
Yeah.
And we're teaching the parents how to do it and the teachers how to do it. So these guys aren't over there and different anymore. We're showing you how they are communicating. It's us that's not blooming listening.
Yeah.
And the schools have just been amazing. Well, shut me up, but I just love what I do. We had a local school not far from here, and the teachers had heard what we're doing and that it's spreading around and going really. And she said, I dare you to come here. We call our school Beirut. I was like, oh, come on. Well, I went to the school, walked in and ducked a chair, and I thought, oh, Beirut.
Primary or secondary?
This was primary.
Oh, great.
We work in secondary. We go all the way through. Honestly, we're about 4 to 104. I think it's the oldest one I've ever worked with. So we work in unis as well.
Yeah.
And basically, she had 12 kids that, despite her very best efforts, and she's an amazing teacher, it's an amazing school, but they were the catchment that got all the kids nobody else wanted.
Yeah.
So she had 12 up for having to be removed. There was nothing else they could do. And they'd had a company in there that don't know our magic for 3 years. Oh. And they'd had 3 therapists in there every day for 3 years, and these 12 kids were still up for.
Yeah.
She gave us
spending a great deal of money for someone.
Yeah, she gave us the 12 kids and me and 2 other Ollie coaches. We trained one of their teachers by then to be an Ollie coach, so we had one in house, which was useful. Yeah. So we had 4 each. We were given 6 sessions, 6 hours. They're all back in class. We worked with mum and dad. We worked with the teachers. Apart from one, we couldn't one. There was too much going on at home. But it's not a quick fix, because everyone said, oh, 5 sessions, that's rubbish. It's not rubbish, because we don't stay with them. We don't become a crutch and another issue for them. We give them the blooming tools. So 5 sessions, we got them all back in class, settled, calm, no more outbursts. Some of them had sensory issues, learning difficulties. They couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. They were just kicking off. It all got all back.
Wonderful.
It's just so simple. It's not rocket science.
So how many Ollie coaches do you have?
I think we've got, I could be wrong, because they don't let me deal with anything behind the scenes, because literally we have hashtag Ali unsupervised dangerous idiots. I think we've got about, I'm going to say 120 now. And we've obviously, with COVID, that's been fun, hasn't it? So our classrooms were all classroom situations for training our coaches. We've had to put it all online.
Yeah.
And all the work we're doing with the kids, because we work with a lot of vulnerable kids, and you can't just stop because the government says no. These kids need that support. So we've had to put absolutely everything online, which, as you know, a lot of the techniques that we use online, that's a whole other ballgame, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's been so much fun. I don't think I'm ever going to anchor somebody into a good state by physically touching them ever again. Yeah. We've just had so much fun with what you can do online, and it's more empowering because you're giving it to the client to work it out. So
well, I remember when I first learned the kinesthetic anchoring, and it was, but I can't take you around with me, so I have to do it for myself, because I might need that anchor when you're not in the room, sort of thing.
But if the anchor's been put on you properly, then you won't need me anyway. It should be strong enough that there's just that thing that clicks you back to that beautiful memory or whatever it was that you needed in that instant. But again, we just made it fun. So something like anchoring with kids, we get them to create a resilience shield, and it can be anything they want, their complete imagination. And we can hit all their different rep systems, and we're teaching teachers how we look at communication as well, rep systems, sensory acuity, how kids learn. Some of them are visual, some of them are audio, and it's really changing how they teach too, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But these kids are amazing because they're creating their own method of not letting bad words in their head or their hearts, or being in a calm place so that they can study. And yes, they do struggle with maths, but their sensible superpower knows that they'll do the best they can. So then they don't go into fight or flight, and they're getting through. And it's just play. But and then I got asked, could I write some books? Well, I really can't read. If you got a text from me, you'd have to be Alan Turing. It's that bad to decipher it. But I verbalised some books, and other people wrote them and did the pictures for me. And what we've done in the books is we've created a little boy called Ollie.
Yeah.
Just a run-of-the-mill lad, yeah? And rather than Ollie having superpowers, i.e. a cape and he saves the world, his superpowers are his emotions. But they're young too, so they don't really know what they're supposed to do. It's like, well, my name's empathy, but I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. Am I like you, sympathy? No, we're slightly different. So, and off it goes. And it's a lovely way of him working with his emotions, learning about them, then learning what their strengths are. But what I've been able to do by moving through the stories is to, again, put everything I've learned from my NLP training playfully into the stories for the kids to learn.
Yeah. So
we have standard techniques like spinning and God knows what else, all the stuff that the NLP guys will know that we do. And I've made it into a computer game. So the kids are like, yeah, and off they go. It's just, I've got the best job in the world, seriously. Yeah. And the fact it's helping kids just be the very best versions of themselves is...
It's just, honestly, you have more than brought tears to my eyes, and I'm getting those books for my grandson. He's probably a little young at the moment, but they'll be there ready for when he's old enough.
They are for kids, but they're actually aimed at parents because, as I said, the kids are doing the best. They're in our reality tunnel. Yeah. So they're breathing in our air. So they're breathing in our fears, our beliefs, everything. So what we need to do is sort the air out. So parents need to read the books.
Yeah, perfect. Well, luckily our grandson's mum is an NLP practitioner as well, so it's.
You'll love it then. Hang on a minute, shut that spinning. Hang on a minute. Yes, but it's fun.
Absolutely. Oh, it's just. I mean, that's. I don't even want to ask the question. What does it mean for you to be nominated for this award?
Oh.
It's I'm feeling wow.
I literally used to blow buildings up, and the reason I used to do it is I can't read and write, so I couldn't get a job. But I was okay at giving it that because that protected me at school. Be the funny one, they leave you alone, yeah.
Yeah.
So I got jobs in sales, and I was never going to work in a dress shop or a hairdresser. It's not me. I ended up on a building site, and I absolutely loved it. But the reason I was doing it was so I could hold my head up. Like everyone else had decent jobs and had made something of themselves, and I didn't think I could because of my reading and writing, which is why I'm passionate about helping kids.
Yeah. Because
if you, the first step is believe, and then you can make your dreams come true. There's always a way.
Yeah.
And I never dreamt I'd be doing this. I literally started training. I did cognitive hypnotherapy with the Quest Institute. That's where I started, the lovely Trevor Sylvester, just because I was made redundant.
Right.
And of course he introduced me to NLP, and that was it. I was like, need, feed me. And I never knew this was going to happen. I just found a job for the first time in my life that I was actually naturally quite okay at, rather than having to fake it. And oh yes, I've blown another building up this week. And I get up every morning, and like today when I finished a view, I'm working through to 8 o'clock tonight, which is just lovely. But every time, whether it's a child or an adult, every time I see that instead of going down that path, just by nudging their internal sat-nav, because we've all got one of them, just nudging it very slightly, that kid's going to walk a better path.
Yeah.
And our Ollie coaches are the adults that we all wish we'd had around when we were little. That's our ethos.
Yeah.
But we couldn't do it if it weren't for the parents and the teachers that really blimmin' care that these kids are given the very best chance. And the only thing that's blocking most of them isn't, their background, where they've come from. It's how they deal with it. It's emotional. We can't change an event, but we can change how they feel about it. We can't change mum and dad splitting up. We can't, right? So we don't even try. But what we can do is change how they feel about it so they can cope with it, and it doesn't affect them. It doesn't outcast them. It doesn't make them go and join gangs and Christ knows what because they don't fit in. It gives them that resilience to say, hear what you're saying, not really what I believe, but that's okay.
Yeah. And you said, you know, that once you discovered NLP through Trevor, you know, it's sort of feed me. So who else has inspired you on your NLP journey?
Oh my God, there's so many. I've just honestly, just every trainer I meet, I'm like, so I couldn't even begin to list them, but I've just had to, because our course has gone online, we've got a lovely trainer, NLP trainer, Zach Polanski, who was training all my Ollie students. He was trained by Mr. Grindler. So how proud are we to have, I know, it's like, oh my God, Zach's in the room. Lovely guy. And he was doing all our classroom stuff. But then when we went online, I had to step up and do my NLP training. So I've just completed that. And again, I've met so many lovely people through that. But the thing that I love about it is everybody has their own take on it, which is what I think it should be. I know we're on the shoulders of gods, and I absolutely respect that. I'd love to meet Mr. Grindle and say, I used to blow buildings up. Now I'm using what you taught us all, and this is what we're doing. We're changing the world. I'd love to do that, you know, just, hello, John. I'd absolutely freak. But we're all making it ours. And what I'm liking and what I'm beginning to see, not enough yet, and we need to see more of it in all of our therapies, cognitive hypnotherapy, whatever you want to call yourself, NLP, it's all much of the much. We need to, I could have called myself Alison Knowles, NLP practitioner. It wasn't going to open that door.
No.
By calling it Ollie and his superpowers, it opened the door. And, you know, some of the NLP guys were, no, you know, you're not being true blood about this. You should say, you know, you're an NLP practitioner. Why have you? Well, the reason I've done it is because it opens the door, because I'm not stupid, right? Once we're through that door, we can show them what we do. Once we show them what they do, they don't give a monkeys if we're cognitive hypnotherapists or NLP practitioners, provided that we've got everything in place, safeguarding wise. And we've really had to set the bar. It really frightened me when we started out on this. I didn't realize how many therapists out there working with children and vulnerable adults don't have the right insurance, don't have safeguard training, haven't been DBS checked. We've set the blimmin' bar, and I'll keep setting it, because you know, we're going on about we want the world to take all of us seriously because we have so much to offer, and we do. We're proving it. But there's still a lot of people,
that level of professionalism, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a gap. There's a big blooming gap, and and that's why we call ourselves Ollie. Until that gap closes, we'll keep calling ourselves Ollie. So.
Well, and as you say, once you're in the door, I mean, that's, you know, we're the Association for NLP. We can't really change our name, and it is all about, you know, that's how we hold ourselves up, is to be the flag bearers for good.
Exactly.
That's the point. It's flag bearing and being proud of NLP, that it's accepted in all these, and you're doing the presuppositions of NLP because you're meeting people in their model of the world. And if that's what gets you in there, then that's great. And hopefully once you're in there, and one day everybody will be able to say, and this is NLP.
But we do.
Will be called Ollie.
we absolutely do. You know, every time, anywhere we go. So what methods are you using? What is your therapy? And there's a few in there because we have play therapy, but we're hands up. All our guys are NLP trained, and we're getting them to master prac level, so they're that damn good. But yes, the basis of Ollie, without doubt, is NLP. We don't hide from it, but we don't necessarily lead with it yet. But I have to say that a lovely thing's happening. More and more we can, and that's what I want to do. I want to get to the point where you guys, which are out there doing the damn best for us, with look, you know, this is good. I want to be able to say, yes, you know, that you're using us. This is what we do. This is where it came from.
Well, I mean, you've almost answered my final question, which is, where would you like to see NLP in the future?
I'd like to see, I don't care, because the award means more than I know how to put into words, because I'm not that articulate, right? And to even be nominated is just bloody, who the hell am I? It's mind blowing.
You're Ali, and you're Ollie.
But for me, NLP, some of the other therapies are really damn good. And there are some amazing, very, very professional people involved. And we're living proof everywhere we go. We're in schools, we're in foster and adoption, we work for local councils, we're an alternative provision provider, all these things that historically, you know, oh no, it's NLP, what's that?
Yeah.
We're doing it and they know we're NLP.
Yeah.
Because we're setting the bar. And what I would like to see for NLP is that that bar is set across all the different organisations of NLP.
Yeah.
Because there's too many and they all have this, that and the other going on. Because we're on the shoulders of giants, and whatever your organisation is called, you're on the shoulder of giants, and we need to regroup around that. Not saying become one, I ain't that clever, but for us to be taken seriously out there, there needs to be one voice.
Yeah.
And there needs to be that level of professionalism, and we're driving as bloody hard as we can. We're opening those doors, we're changing people's minds and perceptions.
Yeah.
But there's a bit of work to do, but it's doable. It's happening.
It is doable, it is happening, and that's what makes it exciting and evolving, and you know,
Yeah.
Because we believe we have something that can help and create a positive impact on society.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not like, it ain't about me, it's the coaches I've got around me, and it's certainly the team behind me. I'm just a lucky one that gets to stand up and play, which I love to do. But you look at the reviews and the feedback we get.
Yeah.
NLP and the way that we're using it, which all we've done is change the names and simplify stuff, but it still is what it is.
Yeah.
It is changing lives, and people are seeing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's changing it, not in months and months and months and years and people needing therapy forever and how are you feeling and bloody labels. It's empowering people. That's what NLP does.
Yeah.
We went to a conference a little while ago about mental health, and there's all these speakers up there from various places, and there was a minister up there, and she said, you know, this is getting out of hand. You know, we're blimmin' firefighting, and we're going to keep throwing CBT therapists and Christ knows what. And she said, we need an upstream solution. I put my hand up. I said, I've got one. And she said, what? And I said, why don't we start teaching kids the moment they can talk? Because if they can learn to handle their emotions by the time they're 7 or 8, you ain't going to have teenage problems. You ain't going to have all the issues that we all carry through our life.
Yeah.
And she went, and how do we do that? And I said, well, we use NLP. And it was, right, yes. And then all the regulatory body people just leapt all over me. It's like, well, you know, it's not, you know, it's all over the place. It's not this, it's not that. And I thought, it bloody well could be, and it's damn well working, and we are the upstream solution, and we're bridging that gap between fire and it not happening. We're the fire break.
Yeah.
So we just got to get louder.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, that's a beautiful message to end with, Ali, because it's I'm so inspired by it. It's the first time we've actually met. And I'm just so inspired by everything you're doing. I'm going to go straight on Amazon and buy those books and sign up to become an Ollie coach as well. I've just resigned during lockdown. I've resigned from being a school governor because it was just too challenging and with all that was going on. So you know
how many head teachers I've got in my therapy room at the moment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parents that completely get what they're up against, and I hear a lot of parents go, and I think, I've got head teachers having breakdowns because of what they're trying to manage at the moment with no support, not a lot of guidance. And they're like, well, just get more staff. Where do you get more staff?
Yeah.
Why should these guys have to be in the classroom in these bubbles that don't work when everybody else is absolutely refusing to and going on for,
Yeah. No. Yeah. We could get on a few soapboxes with that one.
Yeah, don't start me off.
So, thank you so much, Ali, for what you are doing for the education system, because it's just incredible. Thank you.
And it's transferable. We are beginning to break out into Europe, and as I said, Uganda next year. But can I say, do you know, I don't think I've ever won anything in my life. So to be nominated for me, you know, that's massive. That's massive. So seriously, thank you. It means a lot.
Thank you.